Do you have way too much of this like I do? Might have to be an intervention with my cast iron collecting. But today I wanted to show you how to restore cast iron from this rusty, cruddy state to brand new using a battery charger, which is something that I've learned recently. I've done it a couple times now, and I want to show you guys how to do that today in GardenFork. Ready? Time for my intervention. All right, there is a bit of an investment here in a battery charger. You want a manual charger, not a one that said it was manual and isn't. It's cheaper, and I thought, oh, it says manual. Well, I learned my lesson. You can get these brand new. I'll link to the one I'm using in the show notes below here. You can also find these at yard sales. Be sure it says manual somewhere on the label, or it has a switch between automatic and manual. This one's manual until it's charged and it switches to automatic, which doesn't work, because we're going to do some chemistry and science with this in a tub of water. The biggest thing you're going to need is a plastic tub. This is just one of those utility storage tubs you can buy at the dollar store. It just has to be robust enough to hold water and big enough to hold the pots that you want to clean with this new method here. The first time you do this, measure how many gallons of water, fill it up, and make a line and write how many gallons that is. Because the next ingredient is washing soda. This is sold, I found it in a couple of grocery stores. I also found it in a hardware store. You may have to buy it online. It's basically a laundry booster. It's called super washing soda. Regular baking soda, I'm told, will also work, but I've never used that. This works better to create our electrolytic solution. Big word there. You're also going to need some metal, ideally bare scrap metal. See if one of your neighbors has some, or if you're in a yard sale. But the metal has to be able to fit into your tub. This fits in here like this. These are a little beat up because I've used them a couple times already, but these were some cheap metal baking pans, not aluminum, not stainless steel, but regular tin. And then I used a wire wheel and a drill, and I ground off the little kind of cheap non-stick coating that's on them. And then these work just fine. Make sure they're metal. If you're not sure, use a magnet. And if a magnet doesn't stick to them, they're aluminum, all right? And I attach them to each other with a wire. I just drilled the tap hole and screwed in a wire, and then a lead that comes up like this. These slide into the sides of our tub, and this wire does a good job of keeping the two sides pushed against the edges of the plastic, because these have a tendency to slide in on each other, I've learned, because we're going to drop our cast iron right here. Find a point on your cast iron where you're going to hang it in the wash or vat solution, electrolyte. Clean that off with wire brush or sandpaper. This is some bare copper wire. It gets threaded through here. I've used this a couple times. It's a little curly. Tighten that up. So for 12 gallons, I put in about a cup. You want 1 tablespoon per gallon of the washing soda into here. So roughly a cup. Too much of this, the electrolytic solution doesn't work. It actually hampers the process. This in here. You don't have to wear gloves, but you can. After this solution has been used, I might suggest wearing some gloves. You can also, if you are just using metal tin, the solution is pretty inert. You can put it in your septic. That's why people say don't use stainless steel metal, because stainless steel may cause the solution to be slightly toxic. I don't know. If you're a chemist, please let me know. Next, we're going to lower our pan in the cast iron, in the tank. You don't want this touching the two pieces of metal. So twist this like this, and this goes in. So then what I do is I put a stick across here, and then I take a clamp and clamp the side like that. I take a stick and I just run it between the plate and the object and make sure that nothing is touching. And you can move it a little bit to keep it from touching. And I do this from time to time while it's going. Okay, now we're ready to hook up our battery charger to the solution. Keep this away from this because this is water and this is electricity, all right? The black one goes to the cast iron that you're cleaning, like that. The red one goes to the plates, the pieces of scrap metal or baking tin or whatever, like this. Oh, you don't want them touching like that. You get the idea. Okay, black is connected to the thing we're cleaning. The red is connected to the plates that are at opposite ends of the tank. We've added our washing soda. This is still unplugged. We're ready to go with our manual charger. Plug this in, and you'll see that goes all the way up. Very high amperage, because I've got this set on 12 volts, 6 amps, and that is way up at the 6 amp, which is good. You probably can't see it, but there's clouds now forming in the vat. The electrolyte tank, the cleaning tank, whatever you want to call it. That is a good sign. They're tiny little micro bubbles, and it will start to form a foam on here. That is a very good sign. That means that this thing is hooked up right, and this is all working. Remember, you have to be having a manual charger. You can find them at yard sales. I ended up, while I was testing this, I messed up and I needed a manual charger. So my buddy Bill, where I keep my bees, I was like, I need a charger. In his barn, manual charger. It's a beautiful thing. This can take 4 hours. It can take 24 to 36 hours. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna let this cook for like, I don't know, I gotta run errands and I'll come back and look at it. You pull it out, we'll scrape it, flip it, put it back in, turn it back on. Whenever you're working with this, turn the charger off. Learn from me.
Hello?
Hello?
What have you got going on here, mister? Wow, that looks like a bucket of rust.
Neat, huh?
It's
First,
still bubbling.
unplug your charger and then disconnect your wires.
I'm kind of surprised you've remembered that. Is it going to be sparkling?
It's going to be pretty darn clean.
It's all relative. Yeah, looks good.
So this is just about done. This one went pretty quick. I have some video of another one that we worked on I can show you. Wow!
Whoa, look at that.
That's amazing.
Ooh.
That is amazing. That was just a couple hours once we got the right battery charger.
2 hours to be exact.
This one wasn't nearly as bad, so it cleaned up pretty fast. By the way, do this outside or in a vented garage, because this puts off hydrogen gas, which you don't want in your house, and don't smoke near this. All right, so you can flip this now, so this faces the opposite direction, the opposite plate.
What else have you got to clean up?
My whole basement. All right, I flipped this around and I ran it for about another 4 hours. The cleaning on this one's going really well. Sometimes it can take quite a bit longer. That looks pretty good. Not bad, huh? I took a scrubber with a little like Ajax Comet kind of scrubber and went in here. You can get this cleaner. I think this is totally fine to reseason from here. It kind of is eye of the beholder. What do you want? This is my daily driver.
Your daily driver.
we have a couple videos about how to reseason. There's a lot of opinions. I have mine. You have yours. Let me know in the show notes your opinions and we'll discuss that. But this is one of those easy things with a battery charger. I thought this was pretty cool. If you're really into cast iron, this is the way to clean it. So let me know what you guys think in the show notes below here. We put out stuff like this every week. It's eclectic DIY. Related videos, I'll link in the show notes here to some of the other cast iron videos. Or click on the eye in the sky, that little thing. It'll take you to the videos. All right? See you later.